It's time to find out the latest news for World of Tanks console, and we have a brand new tech tree line coming into World of Tanks that we'll cover in this video, along with all of the extras and everything, so stay tuned and stick around to see what's happening this week. So, with the release of these new Leopard tanks, what do we actually have to govern our opinion on the new tech tree line in Cold War of all of these Leopard tanks? We go from the Leopard prototype all the way up to the Leopard 2A5, which is the top tier Western Alliance heavy tank. And yeah, it's looking very much like a tank I want to actually get for once being in the Cold War game mode. So, the Leopard prototype 773, we see it here, and of course it looks very, very interesting, obviously very much like the Leopard 1 on on the console, like World War II version. Then we move into the Escalation era, which is the Leopard 1A3, then we've got the Leopard 1A5, which you can see here, and they're slowly becoming more kind of heavy-like and main battle tank-esque, and you can see the Leopard 2 here, and of course getting slightly better armour, and if it's anything to go by the premium versions of the Leopard that have come out, whether it's the Leopard 1A1, all of them seem to have pretty decent turrets. And of course, this is the final tank. This is the live trailer by Wargaming themselves on the What Console channel, so check those out if you want to actually see the full video and of course the full rundown of those tanks in that video. However, what we have in today's video on this one is of course the rundown of how much it's going to cost you, whether or not the tanks are going to be competitive in Cold War itself, and of course let you guys know and have your own opinions in the comment section down below, as well as covering all of the extra news, maybe for those of you who don't play Cold War at all. So the first things that we have here is the Leopard prototype 773. So this is pretty much similar to the Leopard PTA on the Cold War, the World War II version. And this one is going to cost you 4.4 million silver, which, as with all Cold War tanks, is costing a lot, but it's going to be able to earn you a lot of money as well. So it's kind of like a big trade-off. I don't think that the silver economy in Cold War is actually that bad, as long as you're playing Cold War to get the silver itself. So this tank is unlocked with the M47 pattern, so this is of course kind of like the last era tank within the modern era, shall we say, or the post-war era. So it's like the top tier daddy, I guess, the Leopard prototype 773, and so you can expect it to play very much like the World War II version, very much no armor whatsoever. You're not going to be able to really get hold down or do anything like that, so you've got to make sure that you're kind of in tune with what the gameplay is going to actually be like in the game. So you have to be able to determine how the battle's going to end, how you can impact the game, and so it's probably not the nicest of tanks to actually play. If you're a new player to World of Tanks console, then probably avoiding this and going with something like a heavy tank to begin with is probably the way to go, just to learn and gauge how you should be playing the game, because this tank is probably not going to be very forgiving. Then, of course, we move into the Escalation era. So this is where the tanks start to become more novel and unique, albeit that the first one, the Leopard 1, is a tank that is on World War II, as with Wargaming's pretty much every single design that they do at the minute. They're pretty much just the same as the World War II for the first couple. And this one is going to play, as with all of the World War II tanks, much the same. So you can see that this tank is basically going to be, like the Leopard prototype, whereby you've got to play it very much like an aggressive medium that kind of takes chances to get involved and basically be a little bit of a pest to the opposition. You can't take any shots in this thing, so don't even try, and that is exactly how you'll be playing it in the game. Then, of course, you have the Leopard 1A3. This is where they start to become a little bit better armour. So you can see that featured a welded turret, so you can get a little bit more armour on the top. And that's going to mean that you may even be able to actually go hold down in this thing to a degree. Obviously, if you're coming up against tank destroyers with super high penetration, you're not going to be able to do too much against them in terms of the armour model and actually being able to bounce. But you know, if you're coming up against other mediums, especially if they're like the Leopard 1, the tier below you, or era below you, you know what I mean, you're going to be able to maybe bounce a few off the turret, but then again, you may not be able to. So it's kind of just one of those things where you have to test it out in-game. Hopefully the turret does actually work, but the hull armor is going to be trash, so you're going to get strap pens every single time through there. And so yeah, be very careful about being super aggressive and coming up against things like the FV4211. Then we have the Leopard 1A5. So this is still a medium tank classification, so you'll be seeing that the turret armor is getting even better, the hull armor slightly getting better as well, and also you'll probably note that the mobility of the tank is going to be pretty decent as well. Accuracy, as with all of the German tanks in the game, is going to be very, very good, so you're not really going to have any problems in that regard, at least fingers crossed. I'm definitely going to grind through this and try and get through to the top tier, the Leopard 2A5, but talking about the top tier, we then move on to the Detente era, which is of course the highest era tank within Cold War, and this is where the Leopards become not only a medium tank, but they transition to heavy tanks, and this is where you can see the proper arm model coming in, where you can almost immediately tell that the armor has gone from being a well-rounded kind of hopefully chancy bouncy thing to something that is actually going to be able to bounce a couple. Now, there is a kind of a version of it that had hydropneumatic suspension, but it doesn't appear like we're probably going to get that. I don't know if that's confirmed in World War II or in Cold War, sorry. So we'll have to wait and see, but you'll see the 120, I expect that you'll be having about 450 to 510 alpha with this tank. Not confirmed because Wargaming never actually released the tank characteristics before they actually go live into the server, which is a bit annoying for us to kind of give a rundown of, but there we go, never mind. And then transitioning into the Leopard 2A4, so you can see that we're starting to get a very low profile hull, which is of course what you want, very much harder to hit, and therefore going to make it a little bit more difficult for people to hit that lower plate, and obviously the upper plate is very well angled, so you're going to bounce off of that. Gun looks much better. We're going to be seeing something that might be able to deal quite a bit of damage to the opponents that you're facing, and then it moves into the Leopard 2A5, which has that traditional kind of almost triangular turret, which is going to make it harder for people to be able to pen. You're going to be able to bounce a lot more, and hopefully you'll be able to do a lot better with this tank comparatively to the lower tier within this era. So hence, going through all of that, what we also have is the operations that come in conjunction with the new release of this tech tree line in Cold War, and that is basically that we will be getting some extra bonuses that allow you to get some more XP, well, silver and also commander XP when you're playing in all of these tanks on Cold War. And basically all you have to do is destroy 2 or more vehicles in any number of battles whilst playing the German tanks, or alternatively destroy 1 or more of the following vehicles, which is the German tanks in Cold War. So you can either play in the Cold War tanks themselves, the German ones, and destroy the Leopard line, or you can actually basically get them by getting essentially 50% extra silver. If you play in one and also destroy one, then yeah, you're going to have a really, really nice time with the silver. And of course, if you're doing that, you can earn probably in the region of about 150,000 silver per game, roughly, in a non-premium tank in Cold War, which is really, really good. And yeah, I really do recommend you actually grind through these lines. Now is probably the best time to do that. And in conjunction with that, you can also get premium time as well. If you grind through a couple of times worth of destroying 150 or more vehicles in any number of battles whilst playing in the German tech tree line. So if you destroy 150 tanks in Cold War in those new German tanks, you'll get 1 million silver, 3 days of premium, 10 2x vehicle XP boosters, and 10 4x commander XP boosters. So it's a really, really great time to actually play them. Of course, with the new release, there's going to be a lot of hype. We don't know how overpowered or potentially bad these tanks are going to be in particular, but we'll have to jump in on Tuesday next week and give them a go. And of course, we will try and review some of them as we go along and grind through myself. Now, that's not it. Of course, that was just the new Cold War tech tree line that has come out, and we've got a couple of pictures that come with those as well that I'll showcase at the end of the video. However, what we do also have is the new premium, the Leopard 2 AV plus a Stalker skin. So this is a new premium Leopard. There's been 2 already, which is Wargaming's typical. They've basically been reskinning the Leopards and then selling them. No surprise there, but they've been pretty good so far. Of course, if you picked up the newest Leopard VT2, you'll know that it's actually pretty solid. And of course the Leopard 1A1, which is the season rank 100 reward, is also good. Now then, what else do we have? Well, we have this new premium. We've also got the new German premium 3D commanders that we will showcase what they actually look like, but essentially you'll be able to get premium commanders which give you extra commander XP per battle. So if you have any premium 3D commanders, they'll basically earn you more commander XP every single battle. Then of course we have the premium bonus. Now this is something that I have loved on World of Tanks, and this is better than the on-track events. It will give you an extra 50% XP and 50% silver when you play every battle in the vehicles of either the Sturm Tiger line, the Panhard EBR 105, or the WZ132-1, which is the Chinese light tank. And that applies to all vehicles over tier 5. So really great time to actually jump into these vehicles, grind towards the tier 10s on the World War II mode if you're playing that. Of course, if you're not, then it doesn't really matter to you, but it is a fantastic time. And of course, you can play the tier 10 versions of these tanks, whether you play the Sturm Tiger, the EBR 105, you'll be getting 50% extra silver. Combine that with some of the extra silver boosts that you might have, you can actually earn a lot of silver per game playing at tier 10 in a non-premium tank. So it's a fantastic time to kind of grind through, play your tanks, and see whether or not you actually want to grind through to the tier 10s in these lines if you haven't already. Then, of course, we have the trade-in event, which will be on for 2 weeks. This is an event that I always think is, I'm not going to say it's a scam, but I definitely think it's very much overrated, and it's only ever good if you actually are kind of down trading your tank from maybe a heavy tank that you're never going to play ever again. It's a premium tank. So effectively what you can do with the trade-in event, you take a premium tank that you already own, you can trade it in for another premium tank, but you only receive half of the gold value of the tank that you're trading in. So for example, if the premium tank that you own is 10,000 gold to buy it on the store, then effectively what Wargaming will do is they'll take 5,000 gold off of the price of the next tank that you're buying, and therefore you get like a discount even though you've traded in a tank for another tank at full price and basically got half of the value of the one that you're trading in. Plus, remember, you're also losing that tank and the ability to play in that tank forever, so you will never be able to play in the tank that you trade in. So yeah, it's not particularly very good in my personal opinion, unless you really are not bothered. And of course, if you then are trying to buy a tank that costs, for example, 7,000 gold, and you trade in that tank for 5,000 gold, you still have to pay 2,000 gold to be able to pick up the next one. And of course, most premium tanks in World War II cost about 10,000 gold to actually purchase. So yeah, you're still having to pay a lot of money to actually pick up the tank. And of course, most of the time, it's better to just save the gold that you would have spent on that one tank, save your premium tank from trading it in, and just wait until there's a sale or a 60% silver or a 60% discount on those premium tanks, and then just buy it then. Trust me, it's just way better to do that. And of course, that is the best value for money that you can do, rather than actually just selling them themselves. So that's my opinion. Of course, you can do whatever you want with your money, but definitely stay aware of this trade-in event, and definitely don't just take it for granted that it is a fantastic deal or whatever Wargaming are trying to highlight it as. Then we have the T23E3 challenge. I believe this is week 3 for the T23E3. It's the premium tier 7 American medium tank that you can actually pick up for free. And also Heavy Tank Mastery continues as well, where I believe you can pick up the M4A4 Jackal, which is a tier 7 French medium Sherman hybrid thing that's not particularly very good, but it's a free premium as well. So you can effectively get 2 free premiums on World of Tanks right now. And of course, if you want to check that out on the exact details, then I will link at the end of this video a link to the previous update news where we cover all of the details for that. So if you missed that, then go ahead at the end of this video and have a look at that. Now then, there have been a few miscellaneous fixes which involve adjusting the time between transition from 3 to 6 seconds. There's also a Tiger 1, the Skoda, so this is like the Czech heavy Tiger version, and that's had ammo count increase from 106 to 108. Wow, what a buff. It's also then had the Lioness Skoda T45 from 64 to 66. I believe that that's because actually if you fire 3 lots of basically it doesn't actually account for, like, because in each clip It has 3 shots, therefore 64 divided by 3 does not equal a whole number, so effectively you didn't have like a whole set of clip, even if you were firing, so you'd always be left off with I believe, 1 round in the final clip. So Wargaming have just basically edited that so that you will have effectively 22 clips worth of ammo in your tank, and same with Skoda, is basically the same thing. And then of course we had the weekly shoutouts as well. I won't go through them, but if you want to have a look at them, then pause the video and have a look as well. And then, of course, we had the community poll skins are in production and will be ready before the end of the year, which featured the Chieftain Mark 6, the Leopard 1, the T124, which is amazing. Looking forward to these tier 10 skins for our World War II tanks. And of course, for Cold War, we're also seeing skins for the M1A2 Abrams and the Challenger 2, which is definitely something I will be looking forward to actually picking up myself and actually grinding towards these tanks as well. So if I can do that, that would be perfect. And of course, there is finalizing multi-turret Polish this week, so we'll be seeing multi-turreted Polish tanks coming to World War II. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to do that, what these multi-turreted tanks are, and of course you can comment in the comment section down below which you think that they're going to be. And of course there are 3 onboarding missions in the next season, so that is effectively, from what I can believe, is to do with new player experience, and so people can basically get into the game easier and it becomes much less daunting for new players to actually jump onto World of Tanks and get to grips with it. And then there's tracking down the Xbox Series X bug with Microsoft, and hopefully that'll be sorted for those of you who are having problems with that. And as we talked about, we will be looking through the skins here. You can see that this is the skin for the new premium Leopard that's coming into the game, the Leopard 2 AV. You can see the standard version of it, and then we've also got all 5 of the new Leopards that are coming into the game. We've got the new commanders as well that you can see here. Really, really good to see all of these changes coming into World of Tanks. And of course, let me know what you think of the new Cold War Leopard line and all of the changes that are coming in as well. And of course, if you want to check out last week's kind of rundown, then you can pause the video here and have a look. And of course, if you want to check out what the premium bonuses and challenges are, then make sure to click on the video link on the left, which showcases all of the update news regarding those. And thank you very much for watching. If you want to check out any gameplay and tank reviews of many of the Season Pass tanks, then have a look at the right hand side, along with loads of non-tech tree tanks and stuff like that as well. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you'll join me there, and I hope that you have a great weekend. See you. Goodbye.